Hello, tea steepers. It's me, Christina, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a drink that tastes like spring in a glass. This is an iced Sakura Matcha Latte. Sakura means cherry blossoms in Japanese. So as the name suggests, this drink is inspired by springtime in Japan, specifically the cherry blossoms. Every March through May is cherry blossom season in Japan, and tourists from all around the world go to see these beautiful flowers that are light pink, dark pink, white. I haven't been fortunate enough to go yet, but I have been able to experience the cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C., and it was like a beautiful, flowery springtime wonderland. So Japan is definitely on my bucket list. In the meantime, though, we're bringing Japan to us with flavors of cherry blossom season. Now, what I love about this drink is you can see the light pink foam on the top. That is our Sakura cold foam. And then we have the bright green colors of our matcha latte. Not only does this drink look delicious, it tastes delicious, and I can't wait for you guys to make it. Here's what you're gonna need to make this delicious floral drink. First off, a bowl to whisk our matcha in, along with a mesh strainer, and this bamboo spoon. It's called a Chashaku, and I'm going to use that to push the matcha through the strainer to remove any clumps. Next up, we have our bamboo matcha whisk. Now this guy is going to create a bubbly, frothy texture in our matcha that, aside from just feeling nice on the palate, is also going to make our matcha a little bit creamier to the taste. Next, I have 2 ounces of hot water. Notice I said hot, not boiling. This is really important. With matcha, we don't want to use full boiling water because it can sometimes make the matcha taste a little bit bitter. So my water is 170 degrees Fahrenheit. I have a temperature controlled kettle. If you don't have a temperature controlled kettle, what you can do is just put your pot on the stove, keep an eye on it, and when it forms tiny bubbles and has steam coming off the top, you can remove it from the heat and make your matcha. Speaking of matcha, my matcha of choice is the Naoki ceremonial grade matcha. Now, ceremonial grade matcha, exactly what it sounds like, is used traditionally for tea ceremonies. It has a stronger, more grassy, earthy flavor as opposed to culinary matcha. Culinary matcha, also exactly what it sounds like, is used for cooking and baking. If you're new to matcha, feel free to explore and see which blend you like better. Do you like culinary because it can sometimes have a more mild taste, or do you prefer the ceremonial? Even amongst the ceremonial grade matchas, there's different blends that will create different flavors. So with matcha, there's definitely a little bit of experimenting and seeing what works for you. I love the Naoki matcha because it has this beautiful bright green fresh color, and when you smell it, you really get a grassy aroma along with a little bit of sweetness, and so I cannot wait to use this in our latte. Speaking of sweetness, I do have a sweet tooth, so I'm going to be adding 2 teaspoons of honey to our latte just for a little extra sweetness. Next up, I have a tablespoon of Sakura cherry blossom powder. Now, this stuff has no sugar in it because it's just freeze-dried cherry blossoms in a powder form. So this is what's going to give us that really floral flavor, and it's also part of the reason why we sweeten with honey, because we're not going to get any extra sweetness from this Sakura powder. I'm going to be using a 1/4 cup of milk. I use 2%. If you're dairy-free, feel free to substitute. I have 3 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. Again, feel free to use a dairy-free alternative. I have a 24-ounce glass filled with ice. And lastly, the Nespresso Aerocino milk frother. Now this is just a milk frother. If you have one of the ones that's like a wand, that you just hold in your hand and use to froth, that will work as well. So with that, let's get started on making our drink. I'm going to add my matcha to the strainer. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to use the Chashaku to push the matcha through the strainer and remove any clumps. I'm also going to give the strainer just a little wiggle to kind of help the matcha move through the grates. Perfect. Next, I'm going to add my water and my honey. Now, to whisk matcha, there's a little bit of technique to this, and we're going to want to try and make a W shape with the whisk. So let me demonstrate how this is done. First, I'm going to go in just 1 or 2 circles to roughly combine everything. Then I'm going to shape a W across the bowl with my whisk, except I'm going to do it kind of fast for about 30 seconds until I see that bubbly layer forming on the top of the matcha. I find this to be the most fun and satisfying part of making matcha. It's a little bit of a workout for your wrist, but it's kind of like ASMR, so definitely enjoy the ritual of making matcha. Perfect. Okay, let me show you guys what this looks like. See how we have that foamy, bubbly layer on the top of our drink? That is exactly what we want. Now, I'm going to add this to my glass of ice. And then I'm going to add my milk. I'm going to set this aside while we make our cherry blossom topping. So this is kind of like a cold foam if you're familiar with the Starbucks drinks. So to my milk frother, I'm going to add the heavy whipping cream and a tablespoon of my Sakura powder. This stuff smells amazing. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm gonna press the button for cold frothing, and you'll see it lights up blue. That means we're on the cold setting. Now this is going to mix the heavy cream and the Sakura powder into a nice foamy topping that's gonna go on top of our latte. While this is doing its thing, I'm going to give it a stir just to combine the milk and the matcha. Perfect. Okay, so our Sakura cold foam is done frothing. If you'll look, you'll see it's got a bright pink color, and I'm just gonna pour that directly on top of our latte. And I love the pink and the green. I love the contrast. I think it looks so pretty. To finish off, I'm gonna add a little straw for a little extra pizzazz. And there we go, our Sakura iced matcha latte. Oh, it's so good, you guys. You have to make this. It tastes like springtime. It's cheery, it's light, it's creamy. So enjoy, and until next time, have a great rest of your day.